In this video, I'll be going over every guitar practice method that I could think of and ranking them according to which one helped me the most or which ones I should have avoided altogether, so that you don't practice in hard mode like I did. I've gone from barely being able to play a melody to traveling to the other side of the world just to play with my band. So I've had to figure out the hard way what actually works versus what just makes you feel like you're progressing. Some of my takes might be a bit controversial, but that's exactly why you clicked. So let's get into it. Okay, so here we have my tier list, and this is how we'll be working on this for today's video. So first off, we have learning, songs, and solos. And right off the bat, I think this is a pretty good one, and I'm just gonna put it over here in the A tier. Learning songs and solos is kind of one of the best ways to improve on guitar, because you're learning from real music. And if you're learning a solo that's improvised, you're learning from an actual session that was improvised. In other words, they're using tools and licks and riffs that they didn't have time to think on. They just had to execute at the moment. So it's a really great way to learn and improve on guitar. Now, the only reason that I'm not putting it in S tier is because if you don't know exactly what to look out for, you miss out on learning a lot more from that song or solo that you're figuring out than you would have otherwise. Like, for example, even just that angle of learning a solo that's improvised versus a solo that's pre-recorded in the studio. There's absolutely nothing wrong in the studio, but there's something special about learning a solo that was improvised, because you're learning what they did not have time to think through. So if you know what to look out for, then learning songs and solo really becomes S tier, but most people don't. So I'm just gonna leave it at the A tier for now, because I think it's one of the best, but you have to have a bit of knowledge to really get the best out of it. And next up is scale practice. Now, this one is really important, and we should all learn more scales, but I think I'll be putting this in the B tier. Now, the reason why I put it in the B tier is because, as important as learning scales is, and it really is very important, and we all should be doing that, the problem comes when we stay at that level at just learning scales, and that's how you get that mechanical sound. Because making music is not just about learning scales, it's about learning how to use those scales, learning the relationship that scale has with what's going on in the music, learning different patterns, and learning other ways of seeing those scales in different chord progressions and in different songs. So kind of similar to learning songs and solos, it's really good, but you really need to know what to look out for to really get the best out of it, so you don't just stay stuck. Okay, and next we have metronome practice. Now, this one is pretty divisive in the sense that a lot of people hate it and others swear by it. I personally am one that swear by it, so I will put it in the A tier, just because I think that is probably one of the most important methods, because it's what I call the ultimate lie detector. The metronome will also help you learn music the way that music happens, in the sense that you won't be able to stop and think if you're playing a scale or if you're improvising something. You have to do it on time, on the beat. So if you have to think about it too much, then you should probably practice it slower, and the metronome is the way that you figure that out. Now, the reason that I'm putting this in A tier is because it can get a bit boring and tedious, and that's one of the reasons a lot of people are really turned off by metronome practice. But the benefits are so huge and are so important for your growth in guitar that I really think, in spite of how tedious it can be, it's probably one of the most important things you can do to level up your guitar playing, your sense of rhythm, and your musicality in general, because it forces you to practice everything in time. And that's how music happens. Not wait for you to think about where the next note is or what scale you should be playing for you to execute. So metronome practice, A tier for me. Next here we have jamming with backing tracks. And this is one a lot of guitarists do, I myself included. So it is really important, and it's way more fun than practicing with a metronome. But I think I'm going to put this in the B tier, in spite of how fun it can be. Because the problem with jamming with backing tracks is that if you don't have a specific concept, idea, scale, or whatever, it can just become a time waste if you if you don't have a specific goal in mind, because it's pretty easy when jamming with backing tracks to get distracted and not really focus on the goal that you're trying to work towards. And that's kind of how you stay a bit stuck in the intermediate level, because the point of practice should be to level up, right? To get you to that next plateau instead of just staying where you are. So for me, it's B tier, unless you know what you're working towards. In that case, maybe we can bump it up to A tier, but I'm going to leave it at B tier because I don't think that most guitarists work with a goal in mind when they're jamming with backing tracks. So B tier it is. And next up on the list, we have repetition. Now this one's kind of ambiguous, and I'm just gonna think about it as just blindly repeating an exercise or a skill that you're practicing, which is why I would probably have to put this in C tier. It is really important. Repetition is what helps build muscle memory, but it shouldn't just stay at repetition. If you can play a lick, for example, 3 times at a certain speed without failing consecutively, then you can bump up the tempo a bit more, and so on and so forth until you arrive at your goal tempo for whatever you're practicing. So that's why I'm putting it in C tier, because it shouldn't just be blind repetition. There should be an element of progress in there, an element of, okay, I got this down at this tempo, so I'm going to bump it up a bit more. So it should be repetition with progress, with like a progress goal mindset, I guess. Okay, and next up on the list, we have ear training. So ear training probably doesn't get talked about as much as it should in the guitar community, but I think I would probably give the S tier to this one. Now, the reason I'm giving S tier to ear training is because if your ear is trained, know your intervals, if you can hear that in the music that you're doing in whatever you improvise, then it automatically levels up everything that you do, not just on guitar, but in music in general. Because at the end of the day, music is pretty much just a series of intervals in a specific order. And if you know the intervals behind the melody or behind the scale, then you can replicate that almost as a formula and shift it around and really make it your own in whatever you're doing in music. Not just that, but you can also think about it, for example, ear training and interval training for learning how to identify chord progressions more easily. A great way to really quickly identify chord progressions is by learning how the intervals sound on the bass note or the root note, for example. So if you hear like you're going from one tonic to the next is a fifth, and then to the other one is another fifth, then you know that's a specific chord progression. And learning to hear those intervals, especially on the bass note, which usually has its own space in the mix and it's easier to hear, then that just levels up your guitar and music game completely. So it really helps with figuring music out, which really helps with growing your musicality and growing your skills in guitar, because you can now suddenly transcribe music more easily and with more confidence. And it helps you to improvise and compose, because those are the building blocks of what you're doing. So that's why I'm putting ear training in the S tier. Okay, so next up on the list, we have technique exercises. And now this one is obviously pretty important too, and I've had to do my fair share of that. I think it's really good, but I think I'm going to putting this in C tier. Now I'm putting this in C tier because similar to metronome practice, it can get a bit tedious if those technique exercises are not composed in a way that's really fun to hear, in a way that's not really that musical. If the technique exercise is musical and is more similar to an etude, then I might want to bump that up to B tier. But usually technique exercises aren't very fun, for most people at least. So moving on, we have transcribing music. And I still do a lot of this, and I have to put this one in S tier. I mean, transcribing music is such an important skill to have, and it's so invaluable because it helps you to be able to learn from other people's music, from your favorite guitarist's music. And it's in the same tier as ear training, and they complement each other perfectly, because without ear training, transcribing music can be very difficult. And you're probably not going to be able to transcribe music in the first place if your ear isn't at least somewhat trained. So transcribing music is going to be an S tier for me, for sure. Okay, so next guitar method that we have here on the list is recording yourself. Now, I'm going to have to put this again as well in S tier. And I think this is an underrated hack for like leveling up on guitar. recording yourself is such an underutilized tactic. And it's kind of the reason why people who record themselves eventually end up becoming way better guitarists. It forces you to confront what you're really doing. And a pro tip here, if you really want to get the best out of this, practice whatever you're doing without any effects on, just to clean the eye. And that is probably the ultimate way to develop speed, or practice just anything on the guitar in general. If you can do it without any effects, without distortion, without so much as an amp sim, when you get to putting on the distortion and turning that on, it's going to sound flawless because you don't have the help or the compression of the distortion or the virtual amplifier helping you out. It's almost like practicing walking or running with weights on. So when you take those weights off, you're suddenly feeling like light as a feather, you know? So it's an incredible and underrated way of practicing guitar, and I highly recommend you try that out if you haven't. Okay, so next up on the list is playing with other musicians, and this was kind of tricky because I do think this is really important for your growth as a guitarist and musician. But I would probably have to put this let's see, probably in B tier, because the thing about playing with other musicians is that it's not just playing with any other musicians, right? You should be trying to hang out around musicians who are ideally better than you, so you can learn from them, shadow them, and see how they do things. Maybe they're playing, composing, improvising in a way that you hadn't really thought of before, and you'll learn from them, and it will expand how you think about music and guitars. It's a really important thing to incorporate into your guitar practice schedule. Look at it as a learning experience and get inspired by your friends who play guitar better than you, because that really forces you to level up and rise up to the occasion, if you will. Okay, so next up on the list is 3 notes per string, and this one is kind of contentious for me. I've had friends who swear by this idea of 3 notes per string, but me personally, I'm going to have to put this probably in D tier, and I might be pissing a few people off with this one, but let me try to explain myself. So I put 3 notes per string in the D tier, not because it's a bad thing, not because it's not useful, or because you shouldn't learn 3 notes per string. I do think you should learn 3 notes per string, and it can be super useful and a great tool to have in your guitar arsenal. But the problem that I find with it is that as a learning tool, as a practice method, and as a way of seeing the guitar, I would say it's flawed because it forces you to move horizontally on the neck. And when you move horizontally on the neck, that's when we are most prone as guitarists to get lost on the neck, because this movement over here forces us to change what we're looking at a lot, and it can be really disorienting if you don't have every part of the neck down like perfectly learned. Now 3 notes per string can be super useful, for example, for like playing and shredding like rock music, like those really acrobatic and fast legato lines, not just in rock music but also in jazz, can be really useful to see them as 3 notes per string, because it works with naturally how our hands and fingers work, like with this very ergonomic motion. So if you're learning Dream Theater, or really want to shred up a jazz standard, then 3 notes per string is excellent for that. But you should have some previous knowledge of the neck before that, so that way you don't get lost on the neck when you do shred with the 3 notes per string. So that's why I'm putting it in D tier. I don't hate it, I just think it should be for a specific purpose in your journey when you already have a lot of knowledge of the fretboard. Okay, and next up we have tabs. Now, most guitarists swear by tabs. Everybody loves this, especially if you don't know how to read sheet music. But I will have to put this probably in the D tier, and I might piss off a lot of people again with this one, with this take. But the thing for me about tabs is that as a learning vehicle, I think it kind of cheapens the learning process, because you're just looking at where that note is on the fretboard, but you're not analyzing or understanding what relationship it has with other things in the music. Reading sheet music forces you to at least understand a few basic things about the song that you're playing, like for example, what tonality is it in, what time signature is it in. But when you're just learning songs with tabs, you don't have pretty much any of that, unless maybe you're using something like Guitar Pro where you can see like both of those things together in the same like sheet music. But in most guitars case, that isn't really, what happens. What happens is that you just learn it sort of dryly, just place your fingers here and that's kind of it. You're not really looking at the song in a deeper way than that. So that's kind of why I put it in D tier. It's very useful for learning something faster and easier because a lot of guitarists know tabs before they learn how to read music, and it's probably a lot faster just to read tabs than read like sheet music. But for actually like transforming yourself into a better guitarist who's more aware of what's going on in the music, then I don't think tabs is the way to go. Now, if you want to learn a song faster, then sure, go ahead and use tabs. But for growing on guitar, I don't think it's the way forward. Next up on the list is rhythm exercises. And I do think it's really, really important for you as a guitarist or just a musician in general to have good, solid rhythm. So I would probably place this a bit higher up on the list just because I think it's so important. So I'm going to put this probably as an A tier item because if you as a guitarist don't have rhythm, then it's going to be very hard to be liked. Like rhythm is really like one of the most important things in music. There are three pillars in music as I learned it in college at least. You have melody, you have harmony, and you have rhythm. The crazy thing about this is that you can take away melody and harmony and just stay with rhythm and still have a completely functional, like musical piece that you can experience from beginning to end and enjoy. That's why we have so much music that's based just in rhythm in so many parts of the world. So if you can become better at rhythm, then I think that's essential for playing guitar and it'll just help you on your guitar journey. So A tier for me. Now, last up on our list is the cage system. And if you've seen my channel for any amount of time, I think you can already tell that I'm going to be putting this very firmly in the S tier. Cage system is overpowered. I freaking love it. It's the main way of looking at the guitar for me, and it's why I can see everything on a guitar. And cage can get a bad rep in some guitar circles, but I think that's just because people stop at the initial idea for cage. They look at it as just these five shapes, these five open shapes on the guitar, and they kind of stop there. But most people don't really talk about how to look at it deeper, how you can look at absolutely everything that you do on the guitar through that lens, through the cage lens, not just those five chords. You can see absolutely any scale, chord, voicing, inversion, anything on the guitar through that cage system. And it's what I do every time I pick up the guitar. It's how I learned it in college. It's become my most important and most useful tool when learning guitar, when leveling up on guitar, and I just cannot say enough good things about it. It's probably the most important thing that you can do for your guitar playing if you ask me. So that's my tier list. If this tier list looks completely different than how you would think about it, let me know in the comments down below. And if you're looking to go deeper with all this that we discussed today, I have a free guide for you called 3 Steps to Fretboard Mastery, where in just 10 minutes, you can learn the ultimate way to use the cage system to absolutely learn and understand the fretboard. And not just one part of the fretboard, the entire fretboard. So if that interests you at all, you can check it out in the link in the description down below. And until next time, keep practicing.